Welcome to another week of On the Couch with Dan and Dane, and today we're going to talk about can you get a loan using incapacity payments?
Oh, isn't it? It's a bit of a controversial question because at the end of the day, people are sitting there going, I get my incap payment. It's basically going to be guaranteed for me as long as I hit all these key criteria.
Yeah.
It's basically the same as a job, right?
Yeah.
You're going to have a job until you get fired as well. And the banks are happy enough to give you money if you've got a job, and incap payment is exactly the same. But we run into this trouble where banks don't quite view it that way, right?
Absolutely.
And this is where people sit down and they go, I've got my pension, I'm getting topped up by incap, why can't I use it all? And there is good news. There is a bit of light at the end of the tunnel. There are some lenders out there that will allow you to use your incap payment as a form of income going forward. But I think what you'll find is if you try and do it yourself rather than having access to a broad array of lenders, then you're going to find yourself in strife. And there's going to be parameters. That would be like, if you're trying to get a 5% deposit, 95% loan, guess what? I think you'll start to see the banks view you as too much of a risk to then throw incap on top.
Yeah.
But if you're talking about, I've got a lower than 80% loan to value ratio, I've got some cash coming in, I've got my super on top of it, or I've got my pension on top of it, then the bank looks at this holistically. So if you start racking up your risks on top of there, and it's like, I've got a 5% deposit, I'm going to a high-risk area. I'm going to build a house out in Emerald where there's high possibility that the land values might not go too great. But if you're looking at good, blue chip, low LVR, the bank looks on every case on its merits, but it's not every bank that will even consider it. Lots of banks will just go, nah, not happening, not a
guaranteed.
Chance, and no way at all. Yeah. So you need to be really cautious about that.
100%. Bank policies really do come and go and change all the time.
Oh, day to day.
One day they're a family guarantor loan, next day they're not, right? So you've got to be really abreast of all that. So trying to do that all by yourself is a huge undertaking and quite stressful.
Absolutely.
Right? So make sure you have the right team. If you want to know more about that one, reach out to Dan and I, because especially Dan, you see he was on the side just then when you're speaking about it, and we'll happily help you find and navigate that minefield. See you next week for another episode of On the Couch.